to the Fun and Bummer Show. If you don't like it, hope you stub your toes.
What's up, weirdos? Welcome to Fun and Bummer, where we discuss the good, the bad, and the just fine. My name is Carson.
And my name is Theron. And today we're going to be talking about Squid Game Season 2. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. It's so different from Season 1. It basically feels like it might just be a different show. Like, the whole theme and just the way the episodes are structured, it's all very different. But, I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Oh no, it was in a very good way, because there was even so my fiance and I actually watched we rewatched Season 1 right before watching this one. We both saw it when it first came out, loved it, amazing, but it's been a while since that first season came out. And we only had like vague memories of the main plot points that happened.
Dude, before I watched Season 2, I had completely forgotten about the brother storyline.
we both remembered very different points, and that was one that I was like, I think that's his brother, if I'm remembering correctly.
Okay,
but rewatching Season 1, and like throughout the whole season, they kind of go from like this they focus more on the goofy stuff in the first half.
Yeah.
And then by the end, it's very, very dark and serious.
Yeah.
But like, it still had, I feel like, more humor to it and a little bit more wacky nonsense, where this season almost immediately,
well, yeah,
there's like a scene of wackiness, and that's about it.
The whole show kind of follows the emotions of the main character. By the way, I should get this out of the way. Right now, I am very, very bad with these Korean names, so I'm kind of just going to give them all nicknames that you should be able to identify them with. They're not going to be offensive or anything. They're just defining characteristics, But
it'll I think for everybody involved to be a lot easier. Even my friends that I talk to outside of this, it's usually like, oh yeah, that one guy that does this. You know that?
Yeah.
The pregnant one.
What's his face? Oh. God, I was so mad. Okay, anyway, we'll get into it.
We'll get into it.
So obviously, before what we knew going into Season 2 was Season 1. Obviously, Season 1 was really good. I think Season 1 was better, but that's only because this ended on a cliffhanger. It's only because it ended on a cliffhanger. I can't really even consider this season complete, you know what I mean? You know what I mean. I don't even consider it really finished yet, so that's why I like Season 1 better.
So what were if you had to encapsulate your thoughts in like one quick spoiler-free thing, what would you think?
I think this show's got some deep shit going on, and I think it goes way deeper than most casual viewers would realize.
Yeah, we've been texting back and forth on some of
holy, can you believe
those finer details?
Look at this detail, holy shit!
Yeah, we'll get, like you said, we'll get more into it in the spoiler section, but without spoiling it, I really liked this season as well. Season 1 might be better overall, just because it is like, you could have just done that one season and it would have been
it was a
pretty
complete
perfect
show.
And fine. It was a complete show. You didn't have to do more. Now that we've gotten this, I'm glad that we're getting more. But I like the stuff that they expanded upon and did more with.
Yeah, I was a little worried it might just be more of the same, but they really were able to make it its own thing, which I really appreciate,
they pretty much immediately, like episode 1 and part of 2 is kind of meant to make you think that it's going to be more of the same and that you have an idea of what's going to happen. But then episode 2, I would say about 2/3, or not 2/3, about a third of the way through, um, they they make a point to tell you, like, no, you have no idea what's about to happen.
You don't know
And I
nothing.
really appreciated it. They made a point to prove that there needed to be more of the story told, and I just really appreciated it, because it would have been all too easy to kind of phone this season in,
Yeah.
but they did not.
No, they definitely didn't. They made it its own thing for sure. It's like I said, it's basically like a different show almost, which isn't a bad thing. You can't just keep doing. I was talking to Carson about it'd be interesting if they did like an anthology type deal with this,
Mm.
but obviously you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again because that'll get boring quickly.
To finish up the spoiler-free thoughts, really liked this season. It is definitely worth a watch. I didn't really hear a whole lot after this season came out from other reviews or anything. It kind of felt like it came and went, and then once I started digging a little bit more, it was pretty much just like, yeah, it's good, and that was about as much as most people had to say. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's good. That's as much as I think we can really say without spoiling it. So that is your last bit of spoiler-free thoughts. If you haven't seen it yet, or if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. If not, or if you don't care about spoilers, this is your official spoiler warning. So either click off or don't.
Warning, spoilers ahead.
So
Warning.
my bummer boy, I know
That's me.
that would be you. I know that I know that even in a good season, there's got to be some bad with it. The good, the bad, and the just fine.
Yeah.
What were some of the things you weren't as much of a fan? Let's get those out of the way, because I feel like for both of us, that's a pretty short list.
All right. So this is something I already talked to you about. I'm going to try to do this. I'm a pretty crude person, but I'm going to try to do this as graciously as possible. It was a little overplayed, but I think that the trans representation in the show was overall pretty good.
Mm.
My only issue with that, because there's no problem with, they're people too, they represent a portion of the population, of course, so
Yes.
they deserve to be in shows too. My problem lies when they're like just so amazing at everything, like that it leaves the territory of inclusion and enters pandering, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't remember what their name was in the show. Mary Sue, we'll just call her Mary Sue. So we'll just call her Mary Sue.
Right.
They were so freaking good at everything they did. They were setting up the teams, they were leading the charge, they were ex-Marine, apparently, special forces. I mean, it was just everything. That
I did like how that was just a bit of information that just got dropped randomly.
They just dropped it right at the yeah, I'm kind of an ex-special forces, TH. And
they
like
even
I said,
had to show like the two guys that we had been spending the entire season like hyping up. They're like, oh yeah, they're ex-Marines.
Yeah.
And she had to still show them how to load and use the gun.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
We'll get into it.
Yeah. But like I said, they didn't do too bad. I really don't like it when like the women or the trans people, they start like being amazing everything at the expense of the men, but they really didn't do that in this show. They could have held back on the Mary Sooness a little bit, but overall, I think it was fine. The reason that I think this is worth bringing up is because this is probably going to be brought up a lot in the future, and I wanted people to know my stance on it. So that's really my only big gripe, and it's not even that big of a gripe. So you can go ahead. Fun.
I mean, that's fair. It wasn't necessary. So we tend to disagree on a fair amount of things, but overall, we can find common ground on pretty much anything. I didn't necessarily have a problem with it, at least while watching it. But it kind of was one of those that, like, after wrapping it all up and going back through the season, it was kind of like, yeah, she just didn't really struggle with any of that, and that's kind of a frustration in a lot of modern media, unfortunately, is I feel like, and I'm sure we'll get into this in some future Disney thing. It will not surprise me, but
Yeah, you're not wrong.
usually Disney in particular tends to overdo it when it comes to their quote unquote strong female protagonists, to varying degrees of success. I think
like in
this,
The Mandalorian, the scene where it was all women, I did not even know it. I didn't even notice it was all women until someone pointed it out to me. That's how you do that properly. You know what I'm saying?
that's the thing. There are two very different ways you can do it. You can either do
it like Endgame,
and this has been covered before, that, the moment in Endgame where every single female superhero just happens to be right by each other and they all, girl squad up, and it's,
I rolled my eyes so freaking hard in the movie theater.
I've got conflicting feelings on it. It's, as an event movie, it's still, the moment still could have been done better, but like overall it's a little like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, why not?
And
but then you can also have
mind, we're two straight white men, or mostly straight white men talking about this. So
anyway, so like there's that, and then you can also do it like you said in the Mandalorian season 2 finale, where I also didn't even notice it until like the episode ended, and it's like, oh yeah, that was just a squad of women characters, and they were just awesome, and that was it. It was cool. They didn't draw attention to it or anything like that, and exactly. I think this was more leaning towards that.
Like I said, it wasn't done horribly. It was just, why were they so good at everything?
There could have been a few more moments of them struggling with something. Like they struggled emotionally, but that's kind of the whole thing of the show, is that everybody's having some emotional crisis. But in terms of their actions, they could have, I think, thrown a few more obstacles in their way, and it would have been even better. They probably
could have just made her not special forces, and that wouldn't or ex special forces. Like, that was so shoehorned into me. It just felt shoehorned in. But
I think they can, like, it can tie into the backstory, and it makes sense, but I don't necessarily think it was necessary. So the thing that the thing that came to my attention most in terms of something that I was not the biggest fan of was the boat storyline. I said to my fiance as we were watching it, almost every episode, that was like, I completely forgot about these guys.
They definitely didn't show up very often, that's for sure.
Because like the whole thing is that the officer that basically infiltrates the games in season 1, he finds out his brother is the front man. And okay,
yes, let's just get into this. He his brother purposefully shot him non-fatally, and then he had a previous winner of the game come and pick him up. And the way that I know that he's a previous winner is because in season 1, when he's looking through his manifesto of previous winners, you see 122. I don't remember which year, but he was the winner one year. And if you look at the boat, there's a 122 right on the side. Right when he kills the guy, throws him overboard, there's a 122 right on the side of his boat.
Is there really?
Yes. So, like I said, this shit goes deep. Like they pay attention to so many little details.
So I'll let y'all know. He had kind of brought this theory up to me before we started recording. He had kind of brought it up. I did not know all of that part of it. Like I never noticed like his face being like on the former winners or
It was
the
just
122. Like I hadn't even noticed that. So that's
yeah, this show is it's crazy how in depth the show goes. I mean, it's really good.
Because that is something that I've been wondering is how many, like how long has this been going on? What are all of these other former winners up to?
Yeah, and how the heck do they keep recruiting? Like, because I think in the end, the main character is going to work for them, or he's going to be the new front man or something. Because how the heck do they keep recruiting all these guys that they just almost killed? You know what I mean? There has to be something they're doing.
I mean, I feel like part of the point has to be that, you know, they're kind of talking about just like once you've been through all of that, you're pretty numb to it, right. And you feel like you have to just keep going. But like,
the thing is, they're super like adamant about fairness, you know? So it's like, I wonder if they're going to be like, the way they keep convincing them is saying like, you know, these people are going to do this no matter what. Even when we kill them over and over and over again, they keep pressing O, you know? And eventually, maybe it gets to the point where eventually they're just like, well, these people keep doing it, we might as well make it as fair as possible, you know?
Yeah, that could be. And it seems like a lot of because spoiler alert, Frontman is pretty much doing what our old geezer was doing in the first season and is player one in this season.
The exact same number of the guy who was on the outside too.
Which if I think you pronounce it Song. Is that it?
I don't know.
Our main guy. If you're him, how are you not immediately like sussing out like this dude that's just like, oh yes, I am the best wingman that you could possibly have in this scenario. I will follow you to the very end, and I know every form of martial arts.
Yeah, I killed a guy. You don't know that part, but I killed
a guy.
Even the Marine who was in the room with me was like, "Oh my god, he just killed that
guy." They do so many tropes in this, and I absolutely love because they do it so well. But I love that his best friend did the whole like starting to tell him like, "Oh, by the way, he murdered a guy."
Right,
he like starts to tell them that, but then doesn't do it, and like he ends up voting with them. He just does the whole like, "Oh, never mind. Like I'm sure it's nothing."
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. He just broke. A lot of people were dying. You know, things happen.
Oh my god, this whole season was wild. But no, it just that one. Every time they cut to the brother and the boat captain and all the special forces guys, like every time they cut there, I was like, oh yeah, they are supposed to be looking for the island. Like
that wasn't even the B plot, that was the F plot, bro.
There was, oh my god, there was no resolution to that whatsoever. It was just them looking around being like, yep, nope, still can't find it. And then they finally started doing stuff with the like they find what they think is the island, and there's like an explosion, so it's showing that like,
If I
oh
was
hey,
you
they know you're
guys,
looking for them.
if I was them, I would probably be really going back to that island, the island where something exploded. Don't you think?
What do you mean?
Wouldn't you put the explosions on the island you're on to prevent people from looking further? You know what I mean? Like, why aren't we investigating that island further?
That's a good question. I guess
You know,
maybe the idea is it's supposed to be more of a scare tactic thing. That like, oh, they're putting explosives up, and
yeah.
one of our guys that we didn't name, he died. So maybe we should just go back,
Victory at all
even though
costs.
the whole thing that we're looking for is an island of like people being murdered.
Yeah.
So obviously one murder isn't going to deter us from looking, but maybe it will.
I guess
I don't
we'll
know.
see.
I don't know. That whole storyline just kind of, I think that was easily the weakest part of the whole show, especially for it being like, oh, we've discovered that it's his brother. Like, how is that going to affect him? And he is how we find out like some of Frontman's backstory.
Backman.
We get more of it later from him himself.
Yeah.
Not in the way that we necessarily think that we would, but you can put two and two together. But
Right.
like I don't know, you would think that there would be more from that, but this felt very much like it is very much the second act.
Right.
And
We're at
it's
the
very
low
much
point.
like a part one type of deal that it's leading directly into the final season. So I'm sure that there will be more to get out of that in the next one. So just
At least we,
overall, like that's also kind of a negative. Like what you had brought up was that it does feel incomplete,
mm-hmm.
where season one felt way more like, oh
It's
yeah,
like
you could have just ended it there and it would have been perfectly fine.
it's like Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Blue balling
Like
us
there
for
are
like a year and a half.
so many hanging threads that I'm just like, well, no real satisfying conclusion to that.
At least we don't have to wait 5 years this time. It's only a couple
Thank
months.
God.
That I would have given up on the show if they did that. Honestly, I would have been like, "Well, that was cool. I'm not waiting another couple years for this shit. So see ya."
I'm just
I mean,
gonna I'm just gonna headcanon what I
I
think
would.
happens, and I'll figure it out.
I think
But yeah,
Player One and
that's
Player
honestly
456 are brothers.
that is pretty much my only negative is the boat, and just the fact that it is very much a part one type of scenario. I don't know if you had any more gripes or nitpicks to add.
I guess I really didn't even have one because that was just just the one thing, and it wasn't even all that bad. So, I think everything was done very well, and I guess we should just get right into the pros because there's a lot of those.
Yeah, this will be, I'm pretty sure, the brunt of the episode.
So, like I
Yeah, you
said,
go ahead.
lots of stuff that goes so much deeper than surface level that a casual viewer might not catch. One of my favorite things is the complete like role reversal. So in season one, the main character, he made it was crazy because he had such bad luck gambling and like with horse racing and stuff, but he basically won his game by luck, like pure luck, the entire thing. And his best friend got to the final two by playing the game you're supposed to play, like playing it the way you're supposed to play it, right? This season, he's basically flipped where he is playing the game the way you're supposed to, right? Um, and I think it's such a good detail, like he turned his fortune, and now he's just the same luck as everyone else. So now he actually has to play,
He was a lot more. I appreciated that he was a lot more
He was a lot more
proactive.
scrappy. Yeah.
He was a lot more scrappy this season. It was where season one, it was a lot more like, oh, I don't know. And then this season, there was a lot more of like, he was trying, even if he didn't have an immediate answer, he would ask the people around him, like, okay, what do you think we should do here? And like, he was a lot more, he had a lot more go get 'em energy about it.
Right. And I got to say, the standout performance this season was definitely the front man. Like,
Oh my
definitely.
God.
He was so good. It was such a good performance. Like, he was a dude playing a dude. Dressed as another dude. He's an actor playing an actor. It's crazy.
Well, and he did so much of it with his eyes.
Yes. And
There's
yes,
so much just facial expression acting from him this entire season.
It's so good. He was so good. Like the final episode.
Oh my God.
So I think he was basically, like, I'm sure he thinks all these people are scumbags, but I think he was trying to see if the main character was like different. And in the final episode, when the main character says, "We have to let these people die to escape,"
I had the exact same thought.
You could see the switch in his demeanor. Like, he was like, so I was right about you all along. Like, it was so good, and it was all completely without words,
And my fiance Devin and I, there were pretty much from the time that he showed up as player one all the way up until the finale, we were like, what is he trying to do exactly? Like, what's his goal? Is he actually trying to like maybe learn from our main guy? Like, is he trying to see his perspective on it? Is he wanting to prove his own point? Is he trying to make sure that he dies in the games? Like, what is the end goal here? Because at almost every point that you think, like, oh, well, clearly, he's going to like vote to keep everybody in the game so that they can all die and everything. He doesn't, right. And then he votes to like, oh, let's try to get everybody out of here. Like, there were so many points that I was like, do I kind of like this guy?
I know, I loved him, but I hated that.
Like,
I take back everything I just said. Thanos was the standout performance. I hate that I loved him. I hated him, but I loved him at the same time.
The second he showed up with his stupid purple hair, I immediately said, hate this guy.
But
not this one. I was like, please let him die in the first game. And then he started talking, and I was just like, you know what? He can stay. This is
so. I said this to Carson. I says, you know how, like, when you see pop stars and celebrities, or, well, obviously not celebrities, but, pop stars, people who aren't actors in movies and stuff, and you're like, oh, this is completely ruining my immersion. That's got to be how everyone in Korea felt, because after the show was over, I looked it up. So many of these people were like rappers. Like, Thanos is a rapper in real life, and pop singers and stuff. The pregnant girl's a pop singer. The guy with the glasses and the mom is a rapper. There's just so many of them that were like pop culture icons. So I wonder if Koreans are feeling like we do when we see Rihanna in a movie or something. You know what I mean?
Well, and they apparently even did like an actual dig at Thanos, because there's some point where somebody brings up like, oh yeah, that time that you forgot the lyrics to your own song. Apparently that actually happened at one of his concerts. And like, there's a whole thing that because of legal reasons, they did not, he was the only one in the cast without a script.
Right.
And so he got to like ad lib all of his lines.
That was so good.
And oh my God, I'm so glad that he did.
Dude, I was cringing so hard when he was rapping, especially to that beautiful woman at the start.
Oh my God.
It's like, oh god, and I hate him so much, but I love him at the same time.
What is it? He like the whole thing about like he don't even need a snap. Like but then he still does a snap at the end of it every time that he
in his little hard hands, he was doing the little. That must be very popular in Korea because I've never seen that anywhere but TikTok. The little hard
Oh
hands
my
that he
God.
does.
I've seen everything of season 2 that I've seen online has been of him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's the best character in the show.
Like between that and the like him and his goon, his
Yeah.
number 2, just like dancing on the
The guy who-
merry-go-round thing, like that has probably been the number 1 clip from this season that I have seen.
The number 1 clip is the main character going, "I've been in these games before."
Oh my God.
That is everywhere.
And I love the like people like comparing him to Batman and with the like covering his face and everything. Like, oh my God. It's been too good. It's been too good.
There's so many good memes. And Thanos is at the forefront of most of them, and I hate him, but I love him, and I hate that I love him, and I just want to.
Welcome back, my friends. Oh, it was too good. It was too good. He was very much the villain that I loved.
Yeah, he was
I
the
hate.
foil. He was definitely the foil of the main character for this season. Last season it was the gang guy. I don't remember what his name was, obviously.
The guy, I just kept calling him Vegeta because he had the most Vegeta. So
that's a proper
you
villain
listen
right
to
there.
you listened to the dub, or you watched the dub too, right?
Yeah,
Or did you watch the sub?
I can't do sub because it just completely distracts me from the actual show, and I like to actually pay attention.
Same.
You know.
So the dub voice actor for the gang guy, as it were, the villain guy in season 1, that's just like, oh yes, I'm the bad guy. Like, loved that just because of how like fully sinister he was the entire time. They doubled down on all of that this season. Like, you were either the most obviously good guy ever, or just
you played the
most
game.
basic, like just straight up evil person.
I was
Even though one old man that the entire time was just like, no, we're going to get to the end because I need money.
Yeah.
I hated that guy too. I just flat out hated him. I was so annoyed.
You gotta have people to hate, especially in a show like this, you know?
I mean, we loved Thanos too much, and they knew that we would, so they were like, no, we gotta throw another guy in there.
That's exactly right, Carson. They knew that we would love Thanos. And I was genuinely surprised how quickly they all turned to extreme violence. Like, the whole show, I wouldn't say they were cordial, but they weren't like threatening each other. I mean, obviously they were threatening the crypto bro because they think he owed them money, even though they spent the money on their own accord. But they weren't like flat out trying to kill them like they did in the very last episode. Like that really came out of nowhere to me. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Bathroom stuff.
It's just the first kill, the crypto bro who killed Thanos, that one made sense because he threatened his pregnant girlfriend. But I guess it was kind of just like lighting off a powder keg, you know? Like, everyone was capable of it, but that really sent everyone over the edge, you know?
Yeah, they were very much going off of the idea of like, all it takes is one.
Yeah.
To just kick it off. And by that point in the games, I don't know. Like, I don't know what it was about this group in this season where I get, and it might be part of the point, that having somebody that had played the games before come in trying to warn everybody and be like, no, please just stop.
This literally every year only one person wins.
Like, I can tell you firsthand, no matter how much you want to like have as many of you make it to the end as possible. Like, no, you're not going to just all make it. There will be one of you.
Only one.
And I don't know. And that was also another thing that I kept saying to the TV. Like, I felt like I was yelling at the screen the entire time. Just like, do you guys keep forgetting that the whole point is that only one of you is going to make it to the end?
I don't think they know that only one of. I think they think, oh, maybe a handful of us can do it. I don't think they realize, even though the main character told them that only one person is making it. Only one. I don't think they really believe that.
I also did love the introduction of the voting system thing.
Oh yeah, they definitely did that because of Jihan. And it's so funny. They're like, oh, we're all about being fair, but the people who are voting to leave don't. It's all about consent. But the people who are consenting to leave are just stuck there. You know.
I thought that was a. Because I kept like when they first introduced it, I was like, oh, they're gonna do it like season 1 to where, like, oh, everybody wanted to leave, so they let them leave, but then they all came back like the next day.
Yeah, they convinced
so they're gonna do that, and they're gonna have it to where, like, oh, the people that vote to leave can leave, and there's gonna be some moment like, oh, we all want to come back. That's fully what I was expecting, but no, it's just like, whether you want to be here or not, you're going with the majority.
Right.
And it just, it made me feel that much worse. And every single time that a red X would come up, or a blue X.
Yeah.
Is that what it was? It was blue circle and a red X
disappeared.
Like every time that they would vote, and there would be one of those like blue circles to stay. Every single time that came up, I was just like, oh.
And then seeing, like, they did those, even though it was essentially the same scene, somehow they did all those super well, where you couldn't tell, like, you knew they were going to stay, but somehow they just did such a good job at like building suspense, even though you knew it was going to happen. That's the mark of a good show, when, you know,
I spent so much of season 2 being like, I know there is a season 3, so clearly something happens, but what happens?
But what happens?
And I can't, like, there was still that part of me. It's like watching Order 66 in Revenge of the Sith. Like, I
know everyone's gonna die.
I know Anakin is going to turn to the dark side and turn into Darth Vader, but every time I watch that movie, I'm like, but maybe.
Please don't jump over.
Maybe
Obi-Wan.
This time he won't do it.
Maybe
he does. It felt like that I was just like, maybe they do get out of this one. And then when it gets to the final episode, I was like, they might actually make it out of this.
No. I got 2 words for you.
I was very quickly disproven, but...
Yeah, maybe if the front man wasn't actually against them the whole time, maybe they would have had a chance.
Said, were he not the front man, they would have gotten it.
Yeah,
which made me that much more mad. I was like, they really had it.
And he changed really quickly, by the way. And
I love that he took the time to have a costume change. I love that for him.
Well, he didn't want the main character to know that he was the front man. Obviously, I mean, obviously it's going to come out eventually, but.
That's why I'm like, why not? Why not rub it in his stupid face?
Speaking
that it happened twice.
Speaking, especially in Player One, the exact same number both times. I think the performances were stellar, like all around
outstanding.
The only, not even the only, not just Korean, but a lot of Asian media, they have this like goofiness to it, like when they're talking and they're like super goofy, but also like when his Marine buddy gets shot in front of him, like,
oh my god,
it was so raw and emotional, and it just pulls you right back in. The goofiness doesn't even take you out. It's just they know exactly when to be goofy and when to be super serious.
Literally the only scene this season that was pure goofiness that I was like, what are we doing? Was at the very beginning, and it's when the brother is
brother.
like a traffic cop,
Yeah.
and it's just this really weird scene of him and I guess a new like rookie cop pulling over this guy and his girlfriend on a scooter.
And the
And
girlfriend's
she's
like, watch this. And the guy takes off
She-
immediately.
like she tries to flirt with him because she thinks he's hot and is like taking selfies and stuff, and then he's like, well, why don't you get your boyfriend to give you a ride back, and just takes off. Fully just left her behind, like no questions asked, just like no time wasted, just immediately leaves her. That is the only moment that I was like, what are we what's happening right now?
Is this how the whole show's gonna be?
I won't lie to you, man, I was worried for a second, but then they very quickly got back to
the whole the recruiter, the whole scene with the Russian roulette.
Oh my god.
Do you want to tell him our discovery about this scene, Carson? Do you want me to do it?
You go ahead. You made the discovery. I'll let you take credit for it.
So the scene where they're playing Russian roulette and he's like waiting for the main character to take a shot. There's a scene where he's leaning forward, right? And he's got blue on his left and red on his right. It's straight out of Star Wars. And if you pause it on that exact scene and you cover the right side of his face, he looks terrified. And then if you cover the left side of his face, he looks like an evil, sinister bastard. It's like he's a wolf and a sheep at the same time. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Because it's like right when he realizes, like, oh, I'm about to die.
I gotta give him props for going through with that. Because he was talking about, are you gonna be a pussy, Jihan? Like the way his face shifts when Jihan takes the shot and nothing happens. So like, oh, am I gonna be the pussy?
That's why. And I immediately said to Dev, I was like, this is why you wait until after you've won to talk shit.
Well, he wouldn't be able to talk shit after he won because Jihan would be dead.
But that's what I'm saying.
I gotta say, this Korean actor, the guy who plays the recruiter, I saw him first in Train to Busan, which is an absolutely incredible movie, and I highly recommend it. And he is such a good actor. They picked such a good guy for that role.
He was incredible. He got so much more to do in just like an episode.
Yeah. In his last episode.
Oh my god. They got me so invested in him as a villain and then took him away from me in the best way. But he looked like a real live anime villain brought to life. Like
it was incredible.
I was enthralled that entire scene.
Him, Thanos, and the front man. They got to be my top 3 for this season.
Villains of this season. Yeah. They stepped it up.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude, they were so good. It was all so good.
And they were all at different, every single antagonistic character was at different levels of like villainy.
Yeah.
Because there was also the shaman lady that I could not stand with every fiber of my being.
She was so unnecessary. Back to cons. We did not need this shaman lady.
I would love to know where her story goes. There's so much of it that I'm just like, I want her to do I want them to do the cliche of her predicting something and then it happens, but not in the way that like she's implying it will, and it somehow turns on her. I want them to do that so bad.
Yeah.
And I want it to be the most I want her to have the most gruesome and upsetting death.
I can't wait for her to die.
I cannot wait. And now she's also got like goons herself.
Oh my god.
That I don't understand how that happened either. That she's got like 2 henchmen that do what she was telling them to do too. But I don't know, her heel turn also just like, I don't know, that was another moment that I was like, did you forget what the point of that game was? Like, they literally couldn't include you. You were the fifth wheel.
She took it real personal.
And I took that personally.
And I took that personally. Thank you, Michael Jordan.
The finale, like the ending of the first episode and then just the finale episode were, I think, easily the two best of the entire season.
Yes.
The rest was really good, but overall the start and the finish, excuse me,
and those are the two most important things to do well, and they did them very well, you know.
And I thought it was interesting that they didn't do the whole like, oh, we get one game an episode and that's the whole thing. They kind of spread them out.
It made for better suspense too to do it that way.
We also haven't even finished the games yet.
No, I think, let's see, we did the red light, green light, we did the kids games. What else did we do already? How many games do we have left?
There was, I believe they've only played 3, because there was red light, green light. There was the relay series of the relay race, and then there was the merry-go-round.
Oh right, and then the night raid thing that they plan. Obviously,
yeah.
By the way, call me a seasoned #seasoned Squid Game viewer, because the second I saw that metal fork, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
I saw it before G Hunt did. I saw it before the main character. I saw one of the people eating with it. I was like, oh crap, that's a metal fork.
Well, then, like, I honestly thought it was really funny that they even had like all of the triangles getting ready to go in for it. They were just like, yeah, this is about to go down. We all know it.
Well, they know they couldn't let the there's a lot of fan theories going around, like that the main character and the front man are brothers. I think that's and the whole basis for this fan theory, by the way. The whole basis for this fan theory is that they both rejected milk. And I gotta tell you something, brother. It's not a strong argument. It's not a great argument to me.
Something tells me that you could probably look in the background and see at least a few other people not drinking their milk, and I don't think that they're supposed to all be related like that.
We're gonna look like total jackasses if they end up being brothers.
If they make it that like the 3 of them are all just brothers, I'm gonna I don't
it's
know
like the Star Wars universe. Everyone is connected. Why is everyone Why is everyone a Solo or a Skywalker?
No kidding though. Like that, yeah. I don't know. I mean, they barely did anything with the already established brother. I don't think adding another one would really do anything. But I don't know. I just, going back to I feel like part of the big thing is that he is just a guy.
Yeah.
Like, he just got pulled into this whole thing, and they're like, I think the whole family ties thing is cool, and it's great to include those storylines in it. And it's like it was a fun surprise in the first season, but like, part of the whole point is that these are all just complete strangers, and like there are some family members or like people that know each other in it, and that's one thing. But I feel like part of what makes the relationship, we'll say, between Jihan and the front man is that they have no ties to each other whatsoever. He's just some dude that happened to get roped into this because he was having some bad luck.
Right.
I think that kind of takes away from that if you have them be related, but I don't know. They very well could end up being related in some way in the next season, and that'll be something.
Yeah, it'll be something.
But I also did because we had you had brought it up earlier that that also was that might have been my favorite story moment in the entire season was when Jihan was like laying out his plan for like how they're going to take over and everything, and player one front man uh he kind of he says it the way that he does for the audience, but like he says it's in a way that I'm like, how did you not catch on that there was something up with this guy? But he says I forget the specific phrasing, but he says something about like, so you're saying it's important to sacrifice a few
Yeah.
for the betterment of the many.
Right.
And like and he's just like, yeah, that's what we got to do. And he has that moment of like, you get it. Now you're understanding my whole point.
He's the new front man, definitely.
Your training is done.
Strike them down. Man, there's a lot of Star Wars parallels this episode. So I think
that was probably my favorite moment in the entire season, and that was also just the moment that, again, kind of like what you were bringing up earlier, that I was like, oh no, he might be making a dark turn at some point, and now his best friend is gone. This is that pull to the dark side moment. Oh
yeah, that was brutal. That whole scene.
That entire finale was intense.
And I'm not talking about camping. All right, so with the younger Marine,
I will keep that pause in.
With the younger Marine,
yes,
there's some debate betwixt me and Carson whether he was just faking being a Marine. The reason is, sorry, let me finish that thought. Between whether he was just faking being a Marine or if he just had severe like PTSD. Yeah. The reason I think he may have been faking it is from the guy earlier in the season who said, I think it's like subtle foreshadowing, like, if he's a Marine, I'm Special Forces.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that makes me think, well, and I mean, he just really, really shut down. Like, really shut down. I don't know if he's ever seen combat before. That's from that line and the way he was acting, I think he maybe has just been lying about it. Like, he was super defensive about it too, you know? And the older Marine, Jihan's best friend, was having to like pull him back and stuff.
Because part of what I've talked to a couple of people about as well is that, like, you would think that there would have been more of him freaking out from people dying in the other games.
Yeah.
Like, you would think that some of the gunshots would have maybe brought, you know, and this might be a knock towards it being PTSD, but either way, you would have thought that there would have been more of a, I guess, like, freak out on his end when people were getting shot at, but that also wasn't like, this was just flat out like a gunfight.
Yeah, right.
And it was a flat out like war zone moment. So maybe that's why it took that long for him to just completely
shut down.
Just shut down.
I think
so maybe that's what that was, but
I think I'm more inclined. I'm actually more inclined not to believe him, and let me tell you why. Can I tell you why, Carson? Can I?
You can tell me why.
So, he has lied one time before that I was able to note, and it's when he says, "I'm not that good at whatever that little game he was playing." He said, and he was literally
the dice game.
No, the thing where you throw it up in the air. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, the little
He basically said that he's
thing.
not great at it, but he has 4 sisters, and then he turned out to literally be a master. He
He had like
that
super
tells me
speed.
he's untrustworthy. To be honest, the fact that he would lie about something like that, I don't know. He didn't. I mean, I guess I don't know if you can necessarily call it a complete lie, but he wasn't fully truthful. You know what I mean?
Because he may have just been, you know, underselling himself or something
Yeah.
for I don't know what purpose, but because in theory you would want your teammates to know that their lives are not as at risk with
Yeah. Oh, by the
somebody
way,
that can play that game well, but
they brought in a literal expert in the game to do the hand motions. So, like, they hired someone who was an expert at that game to do that.
so that was also another uh thing from that game was that for frontman
You can talk about the left
he
arm
had
thing.
to switch arms
Yeah.
because he kept doing it so well and he kept nailing it on the first try with his I think it was his left hand. And so they
Yeah.
had like there were a couple of times you can see him switching hands because they had to do it. They had to redo it so many times to be like, no, you can't hit it immediately. You have to miss.
An interesting tidbit about that scene: the reason they were in the last people there is because if they didn't win, obviously they're not going to kill the front man, so they just kill everyone else and get the front man out of there. It's those little details are so good. They're so juicy, and they make me quiver. You know,
They also
might have
they
been a weird way to
tread the
put it.
line very well of the moments that he would just stare at the other employees
Yeah,
of like the different like
don't
whether
shoot
they were
me.
a triangle or square or whoever or the um I guess like game master guy, the one that was usually like looking over the monitors.
Yeah,
There would be points to where he would like just look at the camera or like look at one of the guards and just give him that stare of like, don't fuck this up. Like they
They need to
tread the
know I'm one
line
of them.
very perfectly between like I was laughing, but it was also because I was so nervous of like, oh, I think he's serious. Like I wouldn't don't piss off the boss, dude.
yeah. Seriously, this guy he broke some dude's neck. You don't want to mess with this guy.
Do you have any other thoughts on Frontman specifically or
Um,
any other points that we had already brought up?
I thought he was really funny when he was trying to throw the dice, not throw the dice, throw the top. Like he was really phoning it in for that scene, but he was like, I can't do it. I thought it
he
was really
needed
funny.
he needed the pep talk and then he got it immediately.
No, it's because he switched hands. The whole show he's been using the whole show, literally the whole show he was using his left hand, and for that one he was using his right, and then the second he switches to his left, he does it perfectly. It's these little. It's just the details are so good.
And like we brought up earlier, I really did just love that I never just fully liked him because
Yeah,
every single time that I would start to, I was like, no, but you're the front man. Like, you're the whole reason we're here.
you fronting,
But they,
you fronting, front man.
the front man was fronting the whole time. But they did it well enough to where I was just like, I kind of want to see what he's doing. I kind of want to see what he's up to. And,
What are
you
you
know, you
doing over
find
here?
out the whole thing about like him losing his wife and she
Womp womp
was, I believe it was pregnant. Um,
womp womp.
which which also you know leads to why he's also more protective over the pregnant girl.
Right, but alternatively, the baby can't consent. So
That's
it's
also true.
like, is he being protective of her because his wife was pregnant and she's pregnant, or is it because there's a player in the game that did not consent to be there. You know what I mean? Could be a little bit of both.
That's honestly something I hadn't even considered. That's a good point.
Yep. Well, I'm just
There's so
thinking
many
about it.
layers to
I know, it's amazing, isn't it? It's so amazing.
season
It's
one.
such
I
a
feel
good
like
show.
the message was very deep and complex, but like
The
as far
show
as
was not
the
this
show
deep.
itself, it was
Yeah.
pretty upfront and straightforward with a lot of it. Where I feel like with this season, they were like, you know what, I think we can do more.
Yeah, and they did, and very well.
Because
Very, very well.
I also appreciated, if for nothing else, it caused me to cry in the finale.
Of course,
I
it did.
appreciated that they also made me more invested in Jihan and his best friend's relationship.
Yeah.
Because in season one, it is literally like they go gambling together and that's it.
He's
And
like,
I
"Oh,
did
you need
not
money?
care.
Sorry."
And
See
where in
you
like
later.
this one, they had like the banter between the two. I thought was really well done. It felt very real,
Yeah.
and just like I don't know. I really appreciated that they brought him back because that was also one that Devin and I, when he first showed up, we were like, "Hey,
Hey,
is
it's
it-
you.
oh,
Look
cool."
at this guy. Look at this guy. It's you.
Yeah, I thought that was another thing that they did very well. That
Right.
all of the returning characters, even just his best friend who had maybe 2 or 3 scenes total in season one,
Yeah.
like
He was
even
pretty
he
good
got
too.
a lot more shine in this one.
Yeah. You know, I think it's a good time to do our conclusions. So I did it first last time, so I'll go ahead and let you do it this time.
Oh me! Oh my god! What a
Little-
gentleman!
By the way, hold on. Let me say this
Yes.
before we do this. I'm bummer. This guy cries when Tinkerbell farts, and I'm the bummer. Anyway, go ahead, Carson.
Not that he's bitter about it or anything. So, in an attempt to wrap this up, my final thoughts on Squid Game season 2. I absolutely loved this season, even if I do think season 1 overall was better just because of the finality to it. Even with the fact that it feels incomplete, I still really enjoyed this season, and it left those hanging threads in a way that I actually still want to see what happens next. And there's a million different theories for it, and I'm loving hearing them all. I got super invested in pretty much every storyline. I'm still
Except the boat.
except for the boat.
Yeah.
I wasn't as invested in that. They got me more, at least intrigued in the final episode. They hooked me back in. Even with that one, I still am interested to see where it goes. Yeah, I thought all the performances were really well. I thought they did a lot more in terms of lighting in this season, and I thought that, and just people's facial expressions and their face acting.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just thought they, again, aside from just loose threads, I thought that they pretty much improved upon just about everything in this season from season 1. I definitely recommend that if you liked season 1, you should check this out. Season 3, the final season, comes out. It seems to be in June.
Yeah, hopefully.
So you still got time to catch up. And with that,
What's your rating, Carson? Tell us your rating.
Given once again that it does feel not quite finished, but I still loved it. I am going to give it an 82.
Wow. Audible gasp.
82 out of 100. I think that's currently where we're at.
Well, Let me tell you something, Carson. That was exactly what I was going to give it to.
Oh my god.
So, in conclusion, as they say in elementary school, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It wasn't as good as first season to me. Like I said, that could probably just be because it's incomplete, and that leaves a sour taste in my mouth. Because usually nowadays, when shows are incomplete, we gotta wait 2 to 3 years for another, at least a year for another one. Um, it's just left a sour taste in my mouth. But yeah, everything about it was great. I didn't mind the boat storyline, mainly because I was not expecting the twist at all, not even a little bit. Um, they had me like I was just as shocked as the character who got thrown overboard. But everything was good. You know what? You know what, Carson? Just to screw you, I'm gonna give it an 80.
Wow, that really is an out of spite extra point.
You know what, Carson? 83 and a half. Screw you, buddy. Okay, and to take us out, I just have one more thing to say. Can I say it, Carson?
God. Yes, you
I'm
go
not,
right ahead.
I'm not bald. Okay, I don't know how many times I have to say this. I'm not bald. Stop calling me bald. Thank you.
Thank you once again for listening in. Hope you enjoyed it. We will see you next time.
It's just the lighting. It was just the lighting.